Hello everyone, and welcome back to Nomifactory. Last episode, we upgraded our power with some numismatic dynamos. These produce tons of power by burning up diamonds, which we basically have an infinite supply of. We crafted along the quest book to finally unlock digital storage from Applied Energistics 2. And our episode finished off with a massive drawer room and some spiral staircase action. Today, we're planning big things. We're going to be moving most of our machines over from the old base to the new base and start setting up our drawer inputs and making sure we can populate those. I'm also hoping to deal a little bit with the bottleneck when it comes to crafting for us. I feel like what really slows me down is just constantly making 2 to 3 stacks of this ingot, then that ingot. So I kind of want to find a solution for that. So we're going to delve into a little bit of automation. I've got a bunch of ingots listed here that I want to try and automate, and that should be a good foundation for going forward. Alright, enough yapping, let's move on. Oh man, it feels so good to have some machines over in our new base. Not having to jump back and forth between this base and the old base, we can finally start operating out of here. And I'm quite happy with how this looks and functions. So the way we've got this set up, I've marked basically the top of each machine with an item frame and something that kind of shows me what that machine is. We then have a conveyor that pulls whatever we put into this crate into our machine. And then underneath all these machines, we have a item conduit. It's covered up with facade so you can't see it. And from all the way over there, the items run into this crate over here that is hooked up to an import bus, and that goes straight back into our ME system. So whatever we set up to craft over here ends up back in our storage system, which is really, really nice. I think a lot of you guys have actually suggested we make circuits in our circuit assembler. We now have one of these right here, and it makes the process much quicker and cheaper. Let's test it out. Alright, now that we've got this awesome DML setup going behind us, it's running smoothly, I kind of want us to keep going and just set up more ingot types. So I've got a list of the ingots that we've come across so far in the pack, and I'm not exactly sure if we're gonna need to automate all of these, but I'm thinking it's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. Yeah, that made sense. All right, so we're gonna pop these off one at a time. I think we're probably gonna stick to using this space for now. Ideally, I'd like to have a bit of a designated space for our machines and stuff, but we have a lot of space over here that we can actually use. We're gonna need to set up a few more blast furnaces, so we're gonna need a supply of cupronickel. So that's gonna be our first ingot we're gonna do, and we can just set this up. It's copper and nickel inside of an alloy smelter. Alright, I've laid down the groundwork for us. We've got a connection to our ME network up here, and we've got power down here. We just need to convert that for our Gregtech machines. Got a energy converter over here. Should we place that down? Gonna turn it this way, and now we can lay our superconductor. We're gonna put down a layer of ME interfaces. We might not need all of them here, but this is apparently a more lag-free way than using an export bus, because we can specify which items it has to keep in stock, because every time an export bus has to pull from the network, it pings the entire network. So these are quite expensive to craft, as you guys saw, but they are going to be worth it. Before we can continue, I realize we've hit another rabbit hole right on time. So let's talk about stainless steel. So the usual way people would set this up is you have your row of machines, and then you've got them importing into drawers. Once the drawers are full, the machines stop. But I kind of don't want to do that. I want to keep using our drawer system that we have over there. And the workaround that I've found is we can use these level emitters. This can check inside of our ME system how many items of a certain type there is and emit a redstone signal, so we can turn the machine off. So I looked up the recipe and I'm like, oh, this looks easy. Redstone torch, aluminum plate, calculation press, stainless steel rod. Ooh boy, how hard can that be, right? Turns out to make stainless steel we need our blast furnace. However, we need it to be on HV. So we're gonna have to upgrade our blast furnace, and we're also gonna need to make stainless steel dust, which is not that difficult. We can make this in the mixer with iron dust, nickel dust, manganese dust, and chrome dust. But that also happens in a medium voltage mixer. As you guys know, the way the EBF works, it has two energy inputs. So currently it's running on two low voltage input hatches, and that means the EBF can actually run at medium voltage. So in order to run on high voltage, we need to give this thing two medium voltage hatches. And this is where our rabbit hole within the rabbit hole starts, because we need to make ULPIC, ultra low power IC, whatever that is. And for that, we're going to need the wafers, and in order to make our wafers we need silicon wafers, which is made from the monocrystalline silicon bull, which we can make in an MV blast furnace. So for now, let's move our blast furnace and let's get the process started. Wow, that was a crazy, crazy detour, but man, this is why I love this pack. It is just, there's something about reaching for the stars, and when you finally get it after hours and hours of crafting, it's just so satisfying. Well, we finally have enough. We can make our ME level emitters. Alright, I think now we have everything we need to finally set up some automations. We're going to start with our copronical ingots. Alright, so the way we're going to set this up, we're going to pop down our ME cable, add one of our level emitters, and I want to put this emit when levels are below limit. So we're going to look for copronical ingots in our system. We have about 190 in there, so the moment we get 200, this will emit a signal which turns our machine off. So the moment we drop underneath our desired value, machine goes on. Now we place down our basic alloy smelter, and that's getting power. Now we're going to work with our interface. This is a really neat block because we can specify how much we want it to keep. So for instance, it's now pulling 32 copper and 32 nickel out of our system. Now before we accept items into our alloy smelter, let's actually program it with our machine controller. I think we have to put this on the back, and we can access that with our screwdriver. And by putting it on inverted, in this mode, the cover will require a signal stronger than the set resistance level to run. So if our signal is set to 1, it requires a stronger resistance signal in order to run. In other words, if our level emitter goes on, our machine will turn on. Our level emitter turns off, our machine turns off. In order to import items, we need to install a robotic arm and configure this to say import, keep exact. We want to add a filter saying keep 32 copper and 32 nickel in our machine. Now all that's left to do is to set our supply amount we want. We'll set this to 8 stacks for now. Our signal turns on and our machine starts running. Wow, that works perfectly. Okay, I scratched my head a little bit for this last step, but in order to actually allow this thing to output, for some reason our filter blocks the output, so by putting this on unfiltered, it allows our items to pop directly back into our interface. So now if you take a look at our system, our copronical blocks are growing. And what I really like about setting it up with the level emitter is it's not stored locally that side, it's actually stored in our main bulk storage, copronical ingots. One of the main reasons I like the level emitter is we don't have a local storage on that side over there, but everything is stored back here in our bulk storage, which is really great. Another fantastic thing is, because we can specify when to stop our machine, we can make sure that there's ample headspace in our drawer over there. For instance, let's say our system can only take 2808 lead in our storage drawers. The moment I add another lead into our system, it's going to take up one of our item types in a storage cell because there's no longer space for it to go in the drawers. So by making sure my drawers can never be at full capacity by our automation, whenever I take lead out and more lead is produced by my system, I can just pop it back in here and it will still have a home. We have reached 512 copronical and our machine has stopped, so that means our system is working perfectly. Alright, let's set up the next one then. Next up, I'd like to make dark steel, and for that we're going to need some obsidian. It's a little bit of a process, but I've come up with a simple way to supply obsidian to our system, and this is how it's going to work. We are going to use Actually Addition's auto breaker and fluid placer. So we're going to use the fluid placer to place down lava, and then the auto breaker will break the obsidian. In order to get lava, we can actually just pop magma blocks in a chemical reactor, which we will store in our ME system. I've added a 1K fluid storage drive. I've also added magma to be made in our DML system. Okay, so I've got our lava setup done over here. I had to do it a little bit differently. We've got the interface supplying magma blocks to our chemical reactor. And at the back, we actually have a fluid level detector, because that's looking at how much lava we have in the system, and then we're outputting it into a fluid interface because fluid can't go back into the normal interface. And then we've got a neat extra little panel over here, the fluid terminal, and we can use that to monitor how much lava we have in our system. That's currently being stored in a 1K fluid storage cell. So that's the lava done. If we then hop down into this shoddy little basement with a lot of crazy wiring all over the place, don't look too closely, we have a fluid placer that's filled with lava. And there we go, that basically exactly demonstrated how this works. The fluid placer places a block of lava, it instantly turns into obsidian, and our auto block breaker harvests the obsidian and that gets sent into our system. And we then use our obsidian with normal steel to make dark steel, which is another ingot we wanted to automate. Things are coming along nicely over here. We've actually crossed off most of the ingots off our list. The only ones that remain is aluminum, energetic alloy, and vibrant alloy. All of these go in blast furnaces. I'd like to have a dedicated blast furnace running for each of these, and then obviously we've got our HV blast furnace back here that I want to leave open for manual crafting. So let's take a look at the resources real quick to freshen up on what we need to get. I know we did this back in episode 1, but we're going to need the blast furnace block, our chronicle coils, energy hatches, input and output buses, some invar casing, some maintenance hatch, and a muffler hatch for each of these. It's time to get crafting. And just like that, we've got our first 3 automated EBF ingots. These will be moved in the near future to our first machine room, but for now, they can hiss away, creating us tons of resources. The way this works is pretty easy. This is our input and output bus. I've wrenched them so that they face downwards so we can actually import from the bottom. So from our interface, we get our dust, which then gets directly imported into our input bus. Our EBF is then going to run, and then our output bus sends it back into the ME interface. And the whole thing is operated by another level emitter. As soon as we reach our desired amount, the EBF will turn off, like this one on the right. Oh boy, look at all these ingots. Most of our recipes are set to produce 32 stacks, which is 2048 items. And we can see that they're all kind of just hovering right around there. So this is fantastic. It's going to make our life so much easier. During the course of today's episode, we actually added quite a bit of medium voltage machines. So we have extended our medium voltage machine line. I think we really took some great steps towards passive production for our base today. And this is going to help save us a lot of time in the future. But that's about all the time we have for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out, guys. And if you would like to catch up with us in between episodes, be sure to join our Discord down below in the description. Until next time, happy Gregtech.